My dearest students, hello. I would like to brief you on assignment 1, or at least the first part of assignment 1, which I would like you to complete during this lockdown time. You have about 3 weeks, so please use your phones to do research if you don't have access to computers, and if you do have access to the internet and computers, please make use of them. Please also stay in contact with your client via WhatsApp. Maybe call them or email them, whatever they're willing, however they are willing to communicate with you. They're also very likely not going to be working, so they will have time to communicate. So please don't use this time to just do nothing. We've got still a lot of work to do, and we can do some of that work during these 3 weeks. So assignment 1, what do you need to do? Well, assignment 1 is basically the first part of your project. After you've received feedback on assignment 1 from me, you will then fix it, and again you will add it to your project at the end. Okay? And the main thing that you need to do for assignment 1 is you have to conduct primary and secondary research on your client's business and industry in order to gather the essential situational analysis and strategic plan data. Now, because you cannot interview the customers of your client, we will not be doing the primary research section now, but only later, once things have calmed down and coronavirus is under control and you can go out and interview the clients. Okay, so this is basically based on project 1. Let me just quickly, if you haven't yet understood what project 1 is about, let me just quickly give you a very brief indication of what project 1 is. I think it's here. Project 1. You are required to form a mini agency, a maximum of 3 in a group. I've been saying this over and over. If you are more than 3, you need to split up. If you are 4, you need to become 2 and 2, and then each find their own client. If you are 5, you must become 2 and 3. This is very important. You cannot be more than 3 in a group, because then not everyone does work. This is very important. Please make sure that you are only 3 in a group. Then I recommend that you approach a retail outlet in your local community that has little or no marketing communications, for which you can develop a campaign. The reason you need to work with retail is because we have found that retail is the easiest to work with. They usually have lots of customers coming in and out, and there are so many retail outlets out there. So find a retail outlet, either a coffee shop or a hairdresser, or whatever. There are so many. A restaurant. If you want to work with someone like a dentist, like a service provider, a professional service provider, you please need to check that with me first. You need to come and check that with me first, okay? Please also remember that your client needs to register in the links that I've sent you. You cannot work with a client unless they have registered, okay? Very important. Also, you need to find a client that has little or no marketing communications. It's no use you work with a client that's already got a great Facebook page, that's got lots of likes and a great website, they're doing print ads. That's pointless. Then you're going to not be able to really add any value. Okay, so you need to work with an organization that actually needs you, that actually needs your assistance. So if they do have a website, it's not very good. If they do have a Facebook page, it's not very good. Maybe they're only mostly doing marketing based on word of mouth. That's who you want to work with. Okay, so tips in the selection of your retail outlet. They must be independently owned and not form part of a chain of stores with franchisees. That's important. It must be simple, independently, individually owned, so that you can engage with the owner of the business. They must have more than 50 customers, because you need to do research, primary research later, and in order to do effective primary research you need to have a minimum of 50 customers. Okay, here are some other examples: corner cafes, spaza shops, okay, but maybe a big spaza shop, convenience stores, takeaway outlets, restaurants, clothing stores, shoe shops, boutique bottle stores, etc. Butcheries, bakeries, and so on. Car washes, laundrettes. There are so many to choose from. Really, there are so many to choose from. Okay, but as I said, if you want to work with like a dentist or a vet, or you know, and things like that, a doctor, then you can. You just need to check that with me first. In fact, all of you need to check your clients with me, and the best way to do that is to check them with me and then have them register on the link that I sent you. Okay, they need to have some form of a premises. They shouldn't be working from home. It would be easier if they have a premises, okay, so that you can do proper research on the customers. Okay, you need to name your agency, and then you need to allocate specific roles to each team member. There needs to be a managing director, an account executive, a strategic planner, all the different roles. So your account executive is the person that's going to be working with or going to be in close contact with your client, and then you need to have other people that are in charge of other things. Okay. Each member may have more than one function and should play a role in all aspects, as is in the case of most small advertising agencies. Okay, and then you're going to develop a campaign. Now, I'm not going to go through that right now, but you can see here that the first part of the project is your research or situational analysis, which is assignment 1, as well as your secondary research, which is assignment 1, and your primary research, which is also part of assignment 1, and your discussion and analysis, which is part of assignment 1. So assignment 1 really forms the foundation of the project, and that's why we're doing it first. Okay, so let's go back to assignment 1 so that you know what to do. Let me just find it. Here we go. Okay. So you should have completed practical 2 and sent that to me via email already. That is going to form, once I've checked that, that is going to be what you will use to interview or do research with the customers later on when we go back. And I will explain to you later what is required of you then, like data capturing and so forth. Something that's going to be very important is Harvard referencing, is using Harvard referencing technique, especially for all the references you find online. And to upload your assignment to SafeAssign, I will show you how to do that with another small video closer to the time when you need to hand in. It's very important that you save your work in many places. So not only on a flash drive, because if your flash drive breaks, you're going to have a problem. So what's the best way to save your work is to email it to yourself. Go to your email in Gmail, type an email to yourself, and then just attach the file. Okay? Okay, 1 to 3 members. This is a 20% weighting. Yeah. Okay, so something that you can do is you can interview the owner. You can send them, you can call them, you can ask them questions on WhatsApp, you can even email them, but it's best to have a conversation with them and not to email them because they might not be able to type very well, so it's best to get them to talk. So to call them and record maybe the conversation, or do a like a group chat with them, or ask them to send voice notes maybe. That's a way that you can interview your client. So what you want to do is you want to put together a list of questions that you want to ask them, but they're kind of open-ended questions. Things like, so when did you start the business? And then have them talk. Okay, so why did you start the business? And then have them talk. What types of products and services do you offer? Oh, and then have them talk. So how do you feel about your marketing? So how do you feel about your customers? What do you think about your product? What are some of the needs that you have? Who are your competitors? What goals do you have in the next 3 months? What goals do you have in the next 6 months? What goals do you have in the next 5 years? Where do you want? What's the vision of the business? These are some of the questions you want to ask your customers, your clients, okay, and get them to talk, because in the talking you're going to get information from them that's very valuable as they talk. Okay, so, and I think using voice notes might be a great way to do that. So get them to ask them a question, let them send you a voice note, and then based on what they say there, you ask them another question and get them to send you a voice note, because then you have it recorded and you can then use that to in your assignment. You can use that voice note, the information in that voice note, in your assignment. Okay, and I will send a document that you can share with your client during this time, so that they can just to give them some information from my side, to get them to help you with this part of the assignment. Okay, just drink some water. The structure of the assignment. I'm going to show you soon what your structure should look like. You need a cover page, a declaration and an executive summary, a table of contents, a list of figures and tables, a list of abbreviations. First you start with your introduction, which is a kind of like a lead-in paragraph, which kind of, and the executive summary is really the summary of the entire assignment, whereas the introduction is just the introduction. It says what is going to be happening. Okay, now let me rather go to the actual document so that you can have a look and see what's going to be in here. So you have your front page. First, full first names, surname and student number, and your agency name, the name of the client or their business name, the contact person and their contact details. You have this declaration, and here you will have lecturer would be right, not Belleville, just Cape Town, and then the date submitted, which will be somewhere in April 2020. I will confirm with you the exact date, probably once we come back, the first week when we come back. Then you have a declaration. Here you need to type in your name, the first person in your group. Type in your name. Do not print this, excuse me, and then put a line through here and write your name at the top. You're going to lose marks for that. Then you need to sign here, and you need to put the date. The same with the second person in your group and the third person in your group. Or if you're just two, then you delete this last one. If you're just one, although you can be one, then you delete both of the last two. Then your executive summary. Everything that's in red, please delete once you're working on your document. Okay, single line spacing and Arial 10 or 11 points, 1 page. Okay, it's a summary of your entire assignment. So you only write this after your whole assignment is done. Then you write a small paragraph on each section of the assignment, and you just summarize what's happened. Okay. Okay, you remove this, please. Table of contents is an example. You need to change the numbering depending on the numbers in your assignment. Do not just print this as it is, because you might not have all these elements, and you might not have the same page numbers. I'm going to be very strict about that. If I see that you just printed this, I'm going to remove marks, a lot of marks from you, because that's just lazy. Also, you will need to change these depending on what you have in your document. Make sure that what's in your document aligns with what's in this table of contents. Okay, so right. Then you'll have a glossary or a list of abbreviations. List any terms, acronyms, or abbreviations that are used here. So you list the term and then you give an explanation. So if you're using the term sales promotion, and you'll remember eventually you're going to give this to your client, and they might not know what sales promotion means. So you write sales promotion, and then you define sales promotion, and you reference that definition. Okay? You also need to write it in your own words. You can't just copy and paste. Same with marketing, the same with strategy, the same with target market. All of those terms that you're using, you need to be defined here. Okay? Then your introduction. The introduction should include the following: a lead into the assignment, and or describe a brief background relative to the research. So you just do basically an introduction. Then you do your research, your situation analysis. Yeah, this is basically just a heading. Okay, this is just a heading, and you can do a small little introduction to this part of the assignment. So this is this number 1 is an introduction to the whole assignment, whereas this you only have a small introduction for this section 2.1. So you introduce section 2.1. Okay, what is happening in section 2.1? Okay. Then you start with your problem and opportunity statement. Ask yourself what your marketing communication is based on. It could be based on a problem, example, decreasing sales, and this you will find out when you interview your client. So if they say to you, well, if you ask them, so what are you guys struggling with, or what do you want to do in the next 3 to 6 months? Then they say, well, we really are struggling with decreasing sales. We want to improve our sales. Or they say, you know, we've got this great product that we want to launch. Then that's an opportunity. Decreasing sales is a problem. Launching a new product is an opportunity. So you need to find out from them. You're not going to ask them, so what is your problem or opportunity? You need to ask them other questions, and then you need to determine, based on what they say, if it's a problem or an opportunity. Okay? So then based on that, your whole strategy is going to be based on that. It's going to be based on solving this problem or taking advantage of the opportunity. Okay? So you need to discuss that problem or opportunity here. Then, the background of the company. You need to discuss the product. What is their product? Features, benefits, the application, packaging, styles. You have to go into a lot of depth into their product, their brand, or their service. What features does it have? What benefits does it give customers? How is it applied? What packaging, the styles, brand awareness, different offerings they have. So maybe they have, if they do weaves, they have small weaves, big, medium weaves, big weaves, or they have, different packaging. So you need to talk about that as well, different offerings. Then you need to talk about promotion. What past campaigns have they done? Have they done any adverts in newspapers? Have they done any sales promotions? Have they done any interactive online marketing? Have they done direct marketing? Have they done WhatsApp marketing? Have they done any PR? What have they been doing? And then you talk about it here. Past campaigns, above the line, below the line, and so forth. Okay, you discuss. So you need to ask, when you're doing that research with your client, you need to ask them, what previous marketing have you done? And then you can even go through it. Have you done any ads? Have you done any flyers or brochures or posters or sales promotions, competitions, in-store material? Have you done any online stuff? Have you done any stuff with WhatsApp or SMS? So ask them those direct questions. Okay? Then you need to talk about distribution, or the place P. What are their distribution channels? Do they use a direct channel? Do they use a retailer channel? Do they use what is wholesaler channel? Remember, we discussed this last year in Marketing 1. What support do they have in the channel? In other words, do they have suppliers that help them? What merchandising and logistics happens? How do they get their products to their customers? Where do they get it from? What merchandise do they stock? Where do they warehouse it? How do they warehouse it? That's all in chapter 10 of Marketing 1's textbook. What is needed to participate in the channel? Do you need specific skills? Do you need specific resources? Do you need to be registered with any specific bodies? So you need to discuss all of this. This is very important, is the distribution side. Where do their products come from? How do they get it to the end consumer? And how are they able to participate in that channel? Then you need to talk about pricing. Okay, the pricing system, markup. Do they use markup? Do they use target return on investment? Sorry. What system do they use? So you say, how do you price your product? Then they'll tell you, no, we mark up our existing products, or we do this or we do that. So ask them how do they price their product. Then ask them about the price sensitivity of the customers. Are the customers very price sensitive, or are they not? Do they not care so much about price? They care about quality more than they care about price. So talk to them about that. What are their pricing objectives? When they price their products, do they want to achieve profits? Do they want to achieve market share? Skimming, penetration. Again, we discussed all of this in Marketing 1, which is in chapter 13 of your textbook, of last year's textbook. You can also, if you downloaded my videos from last year, you can watch them to familiarize yourself again with all of that. Okay, the pricings. Okay, then you discuss all of those: pricing system, price sensitivity, objectives, and so on. Okay, then you need to do an environmental and competitor analysis, which we also did last year in chapter 2. First, you need to discuss the marketing environment, okay, which includes the target market. Who are they focusing on? The suppliers or the intermediaries. Who are the various suppliers? Then a SWOT analysis: strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. And then, of course, you need to do a pestle analysis. Right, the pestle analysis, which you know stands for political, environmental, social, technological, legal, environmental, and demographic. Okay, so you need to do a pestle analysis. Look at how the different macro environmental factors affects this industry and this business. Okay, we should probably now add medical, add an M there for the way that it is affecting business, right? This coronavirus, because it's affecting all businesses. Although some are still existing, it's affecting most businesses. Okay, but I would say that's more of a social problem. Okay, then we get to marketing information. This must describe the existing situation and the environment in which the product is sold. For example, the industry. If it's the hairdressing industry, then you need to talk about growth trends, decline trends, all the various trends, new technologies, and so forth in that industry. You will find a lot of that information on the internet. Please try and find information that is relevant to South Africa. You're going to find lots of information that might be relevant, for example, to America. You can use that stuff that they talk about for America, as long as it also applies to South Africa. Then, company. Here you need to talk about their image, their sales history, their sales patterns, sales forecasting, market share, and so forth. Ask the client about this. What type of distribution do they use? Is it intensive distribution or selective distribution? In other words, do they try and get their products everywhere, or is it just very selective? Do they sell to everyone or a very select target market? What's their image like in the market? What's their sales history like? Has it always been good? Did they struggle at one point? They don't have to give you exact sales figures, but they need to talk about it in general. Their sales patterns, meaning, do they sell more during summertime or more during wintertime or springtime or over holidays, or when do they sell the most? What's their pattern, their sales patterns like? And then what's their market share? If they had to compare themselves to their competitors around them, what would they say is their market share? Do they have lots of the customers or few of the customers? Which customers do they have a lot of? So ask them those questions. Then competition, very important. You need to ask your client, who are your competitors? If they're a hairdresser, they will know. That guy's my competitor over there, that guy's my competitor over there. They're my competitors. But you then need to do research on these competitors. Okay? You need to go around, if they're a hairdresser, you need to go around in the main road and you need to check what is their products, this competitor's products like, what's their prices like, what's their place like. In other words, what's their actual shop like? What are their competitive advantage? What makes them different from your client's business? And you can even ask the customers of that competitor some questions to gain some more understanding about them. Now, it's going to be difficult for you to do this right now, so for the moment what I suggest you do is you ask your client who are your competitors, and then what you do is you research them online. You research them online, you Google them, and then you include that information into your assignment. You could also ask your client to give you information about them. You could say, what's good about that competitor? What's their competitive advantage? What's nice about their shop? What products do they offer? What's their pricing like? If your client is on the ball, they may know a lot of that information. So ask them, and then do look at the top 3 or 4 competitors. Okay, and discuss them in detail. You can add more information than what I've got here. Okay, you can add more information than what I've got here. I would also, to be honest, add the promotion piece here. What promotions have the competitors been doing? Or in which ways do they promote their brands? What competitions have they done? You can ask your client this. They should know this information. Okay, then general trends in the market. Oh, I see. You're going to discuss the promotion later on. Forgive me. You're going to discuss the promotion later on. You can discuss them here as well, I guess. You can discuss them here and later on. That's also fine. But it looks like we're going to discuss them in lots of detail over here. Okay, so this is the communications arena of the brand. What are the general trends? Do most companies spend 10% of their advertising, which results in 20% market share? What are the trends in this industry as far as marketing is concerned? How much money do people spend on marketing? How do they do their marketing? How do they do their advertising? Okay. Then, the communications arena of the brand. How does this industry do its marketing and advertising? How does it do the marketing and advertising in general? And then how do competitors do their promotions? What types of promotions do the various competitors do? What types of digital presence do they have? So yeah, you can just Google them and see, do they have a website? Do they have a Facebook page? How big is their Facebook page? How many likes do they have? How often do they post? How active are their different their Instagram pages? How active are their Instagram pages? So you can check this online, and you can ask your client. And if you live close by, you can maybe just walk by there on your way to the shop, and you can have a look in their windows to see what posters they have up. How does their store look inside? Okay, and you can take photos. You can take photos and you can include them in your assignment. Try and add as much information as you possibly can. Alright, then product or brand analysis. Just want to make sure that we're still recording. Looks like we are. Yes. Okay. Product or brand analysis. Provide information from different viewpoints. What are the consumer's perceptions of the brand or store? Image, awareness, loyalty, quality. The owner or manager's perceptions of the brand or store. Image, awareness, loyalty, quality. And then your agency's perceptions. So you won't be able to find out the consumer's perceptions right now. You'll have to do that later. But you can find out what is the owner manager's perceptions. How does he or she feel about the image of the store? And you need to ask a specific question to him or her on this. Then you guys, what are your perceptions on those aspects? And you might find that these differ. You might find the consumer's perceptions differ from the owner managers and differ from yours. And then you need to have a conversation about that with the owner. And you can say, hey, we don't all agree on this. And the main ones that's important is the consumers. It might be that the consumer's perceptions are wrong. Alright, so yeah, it might be that the idea that the owner has is not correct. Oh, sorry, the consumers have are not correct, and then you might need to do a campaign where you inform them of what's actually happening, or of the actual, quality of the products or so forth. But nonetheless, this is very important. Okay, target market analysis. Now, we're not going to be able to analyze the target market, but in detail, because we won't be able to do primary research. But what you will be able to do, is you can talk to the owner manager about the target market and ask him or her who they believe the target market is. Okay. Okay, and eventually, if you have this information, you can begin to scrutinize your target market in relation to their behavior. But this is information we're going to add later. But I'll give you some information on that now. We're going to do in-depth research with them, and you're going to do graphs, which I'll show you how to do later, where you're going to talk about how many times they visit the store. Okay. What other stores they visit, and so on. But that'll be the second part of the project, which we will complete once we go back. So for now, you need to do up and until this one over here. Up and until 2.1.5, you need to complete in the next 3 weeks, and then either hand in class when we go back, or email to me around the middle of April. Okay, so that's what you need to do. Use your phones to do research. I'm going to send you a letter that you can send on to your clients to get them to give you information. And yeah, don't waste this time. Use it. Things are going to go back to normal eventually, and then we're going to have to still do this project, and you don't want to cram all of this work into a short space of time once we go back. So use this time as efficiently as possible. All the best. I will be available for the next 3 weeks. I'm here at home. I'll be working. You can send me emails. You can send me WhatsApp through your class reps. I'm available. All the best, and let's stay in touch.